Trigger alert. This is a very touchy subject, but I'd like you to take the time out of your journey, out of your life, out of your day, to actually listen to what it is that I have to say. Because I believe that I have discovered how to actually unify religion within humanity once again. We unify it through the thing that has been used to destroy it, science. Let's have a look at the actual conscious creation of everything in existence, knowing that everything is consciously created, and what we believe is then what we achieve. If you believe you can or believe you can't, either way you're right. And only by aiming for the stars do we have any chance in reaching them. So what I was shown the other day in deep meditation is that God, let's use the word God here, God, if God creates everything and is in everything, if everything is created in the image of God, then God is the sky, is the ground, is the clouds, is the sun, is the moon, is the water that flows within the river. It is the river itself, just as God exists within each and every one of us. And if God is love, then everything is created from that same unique and original base frequency that is love. Looking at it scientifically for a moment, everything that exists, and I mean everything, is made of the same base material, energy vibrating at different frequencies. So an atom that vibrates then gets together with another atom that vibrates in the same frequency to create what we are able to then perceive as physical matter. We can only perceive this energy vibrating as physical matter due to our human senses and our capability to perceive it. Without the eyes we cannot see, without the ears we cannot hear, etc., etc. So take away the mind that is consciously perceiving and interpreting this information and then allowing us to experience what we believe to be physical matter and the world around us. Take away the mind and there is nothing to experience, as there is nothing to experience the experience. So without consciousness to experience reality, there is no reality to be experienced. Okay. So instead of science, let's just look at it as consciousness, because I think we can all agree on a foundational level that everything is consciously experienced and thus created. So if God is in everything and creates everything, and if God is within us, and we are God embodied, let's say, a representation, a reflection, a projection of that same source that creates all things, or if you'd rather look at it as the universe, as I do myself, then I am part of the universe, just as the universe is part of me. And if we continue down this journey to the start and the end of it all, then it becomes quite plain to see that God is in everything, that we are the creators of our own reality, therefore we are God embodied. And as I say, within humanity, the foundational teaching of every religion is love. But what has happened is we have had one complete whole, God if you like, and it has been fragmented within humanity with all these different sections or channels, all these different lines that all come off that same original source. Each religion actually then travelling in a different direction towards their own final conclusion. But if we take them all back to their original source, we see that everything originates from that same one space, that same one mind, consciousness, if you like, with love being the foundational frequency of everything in existence once again. Take it back, bring it back into completion. No more are we looking to actually fragment It is all about integration. It's looking for the similarities in each and every one of us and giving ourselves the opportunity to see it. As the subconscious mind, it is programmed to find the path of least resistance. We are bombarded by about 3 million bits of data every second, and the subconscious mind can only process about 300,000 of these, which is still a very large number. But if you imagine I give you 3 million grains of rice, and every second you take 300,000 of those to create your interpretation of the world around you, then it is, again, quite plain to see how we miss out on so much of what is actual reality. We look for that which we expect to see, and we see that which we look for. So again, if we've been programmed to believe that we are less than, that we are different to, and that we are controlled by elements that dictate and govern us accordingly, then we give away our power and we feel powerless to that external entity. The truth is that we are the creators of our own reality. It has been documented throughout history. And as an example, the book The Secret has sold millions of copies worldwide, and the information within that all comes back to the truth that everything is energetically created, that whatever we vibrate in accordance with ourselves is what we see in the world around us. So a slight tangent here, slight offshoot. The simplest way to understand the law of attraction, the law of vibration, and the law of creation is that whatever we vibrate in accordance to, we believe ourselves to be and we see as the external world around us. If we looked at it as a TV screen, with ourselves being that screen, ourselves holding that remote control, yes, we have been programmed through childhood and our adult life to some degree to believe that we are limited to be able to view certain channels. But the truth is that every channel that is able to be picked up and received and broadcast and seen on that TV is always in the airways around it. If you tune the channel into channel 2, that is what you will see. Channel 5, that's what you'll see. I've experienced this firsthand because I used to live in complete turmoil and anger and frustration and pain. I was 18 stone of muscle and rage. And everywhere I went, there was a reason to be angry, something to frustrate me. It wasn't until I did the inner work to accept myself and everything I'd experienced, it wasn't until I accepted where I was that I had a start point to move forwards from to where it is that I wished to go. I changed my frequency to acceptance, positivity, and eventually coming back into that truth that love is what will set us all free. Now that I love myself and I vibrate in alignment to the frequency of love, love is what I see in the world around me. So back to unifying religion or God using science. If we can all agree scientifically, consciously, that everything is energy vibrating at different frequencies, and what we look for is what we see, then we can start to realize that when we vibrate in alignment with love, love is what we see. Therefore, we are the creator of our own reality. If God is in all things and creates all things, then God is within you and me. Therefore, God is the creator of our reality. Therefore, we are God embodied. And when we bring it back, all those offshoots, back to the original source once again, we can see that we come from love. At the end of our life, we will return to love. And it's realizing this truth and existing within that frequency whilst we are here on earth and able to do so. There are countless documentations of people that have otherworldly experiences, where we allow for our conscious, egoic mind and its desire to control and understand things to take a side seat, if we like, and then allow for the superconsciousness and opening up to channeled information, to access a stream that every single great mind throughout history has been documented and recorded as saying. It is in those moments of no mind, when I become void of thought, that the ideas seem to come to me from something outside of me. And that thing that is outside of us is actually what is at the deepest level within us. We are God embodied, the universe in completion, in perfection. And the more that we start to realize this truth and what we have in common, as opposed to focusing upon what divides us, the stronger that we are individually and collectively. Humanity is coming into a time of great change, and it is by focusing on the solution, not the problem, that we arrive at that destination. God is in all things. All things is God. All is consciously created by the interpretator. Everything I experience is because of my ability to do so and my belief in what I expect to see, and then see accordingly. Honestly, the difference in my life is beyond what I could have ever even comprehended. I had previously surrendered myself to a life of pain and misery. And it's when I got to a point where everything was so extreme, so traumatic, where I'd literally given up the want to live completely, that I got to a point where I surrendered. I gave up. I gave up completely. And I said to whatever label wants to be used, I am done. I'm fucking done. I've had enough. I will not continue to live this way anymore. So, either take me now, or use me for something greater than myself. And in that moment, with full, complete surrenderance, part of me that believed myself to be a father, a provider, that was locked into this belief that I was going to live a life of pain and suffering for the rest of my life, that I needed to be big and strong in order to be able to protect myself and those around me. Basically, my egoic view of who I was died, dissolved before my very eyes, because I surrendered that version of myself. I did die, to be reborn again. But it wasn't a physical death, it was a conscious death. And after that journey, surrendering, I started to be able to actually comprehend and accept the word God, because God used to be one of the biggest trigger words to me, because there has been no amount of pain and suffering put upon humanity through using God as an excuse to do so. And through time, I learned to actually accept God as a word and then as an energy. The universe, prime creator, God, my higher self, all elements of the same thing. We unify God, we unify religion within humanity by consciously accepting the proof that is so plain to see, that we are the creators of our own reality, that whatever channel we tune that TV into, ourselves, whatever we vibrate at, is what we attract to us from the universe around us and what we see. And what we see is what we believe. So we can all agree that we consciously create our own reality. We can all agree that God is consciousness creating everything in existence. Therefore, it's not such a large jump to entertain the idea, at least, if you are not in a place you can accept it in completion, that God is in everything. God is in us. Everything is consciously created by God. Everything we experience is consciously created by us. So we are all individual aspects or fragments of that same prime creator, that same source of all things and all information. We unify humanity through love. We bring back all of those splinters, all of those offshoots, all of those religions to the deepest of teachings, which is love. Love yourself, and then, and only then, can you love everybody else. And this journey to come back to self-love, through my experience, is through surrenderance of what we want to be, or want to experience, or want to happen, and an acceptance of what is. Because only once we accept what is, once again, and where we are, do we have a start point to move forwards from, to where it is we are going. Without going too deep into this, because the depth of information I was shown is still being consciously interpreted and integrated, I would like to ask you one simple question to leave you with. How have you been experiencing your life? And do you consciously create everything that you are part of? Or have you been playing a victim role and giving your power away to somebody else? Because again, in the game of life, the character we experience is subjective to our beliefs of who we are and what we feel deserving or worthy of. Again, believe you can or believe you can't, and either way, you are right. And when we play victim, we are still creating ourselves that character. If we look at life just as a computer game, then this physical avatar body, with the egoic mind and its desires for things to be a certain way, that is the character. The higher self, that is the player. We know we're playing the game through this avatar self. We know that everybody else in the game is a secondary character, as we are the main character in our own life story. Some characters come to challenge and actually test us so we can learn and grow. Others come to support us, to uplift us, and to remind us that love is always within and around us. But either way, we remain the main character. And it's meditation, for me at least, that has been life-changing. Meditation is like pausing the game, going into the option menu, and actually uplifting our qualities and attributes within the avatar self, turning on our healing abilities, our channeling, and all of the wonderful things that we are able to experience once we allow ourselves the opportunity to do so. Everything I create flows through me. It is not mine, just as this body is not mine. I'm just experiencing it. And at the end of the journey, at the end of my life, it will be returned to the dealer, broken down and redistributed somewhere new. So we are playing as the character, but we are the player behind it. As well as this, we are actually the creator of the game in entirety. And although we cannot consciously create the parameters of existence, we do co-create everything in existence. Coming back to the truth that everything is created by God, and we are consciously creating our own realities individually and collectively, the more lights, let's look at ourselves as a light for a moment, the more lights shone upon any particular element of reality, the more that comes to be. The way I was shown this personally was as a garden, and me being the sun. And in my journey, going back many years, there was two things that I was focused upon more than anything else, with a desire not to be that way, not to be like my father, basically. And because I focused on what I didn't want to the exclusion of what I did, The 2 weeds in my garden, as I shone my light of attention upon them, grew and grew and grew and grew, to the point where I was no longer able to see the flowers. And then the 2 things that I wanted to do nothing more than run away from and deny and never experience as part of my life, well, they became the 2 things that had to take place, because it was all that I focused my light upon and where I then journeyed towards. When we focus on what is beautiful within ourselves and the world around us, when we focus on the flowers in the garden of the mind, this is what we grow and are able to see accordingly. Comes back to that old expression, and it's quite simple, but when we actually fully embody it, it's incredibly powerful. Where our attention, our consciousness goes, whatever we shine our consciousness upon, is what grows, just as we are that mighty sun. Where our attention goes, our energy flows. And what we focus upon is what grows. So we focus again on what is right with the world. We focus on the solution. We focus on the fact that we are the change we wish to see. We are the evolution of humanity. And as we continue to live in accordance to our truth, it inspires and reminds others to do the same too. And to look at that very simplistically, each one of us is a different frequency. We could look at it as droplets of water in an ocean of existence, each droplet being separate and individual, slightly different in frequency, and I was shown this as colour, but collectively making up the entire body of water, the entirety of reality. I am energetically, as a representation in colour, purple, and I tried for most of my life to be red, to be like my dad, to be good enough to be accepted, to be big and strong and tough and bash my way through anything that I came to. But in trying to be red to please my dad, I was no longer being true to who I am. I was no longer purple, and I could never be red. I became this funny mixed colour that was more brown than anything else. And in truth, when we try to please another person or be the way that we think they want us to be, it is only our thoughts that we are projecting upon them, and then actually trying to fit into a mould that we think they want us to be. Even if somebody told us exactly how they wanted us to behave, they wouldn't hold all the information that they would be able to deliver, and we would always find ourselves never quite good enough for them and for us. The only way to live a truly happy, prosperous, free and abundantly loving life is to vibrate in alignment to who we are, day and night. I am purple, and by being purple I bring completion to the rainbow of existence. So whatever colour you are, please be you. Live authentically and freely, as this is all any of us really need do. The reason for existence, in my view at least, is to experience the experience, nothing more, nothing less. Because again, if I was God, and I knew that I was everything and nothing, I would become quite bored over the infinite number of days that I'd experienced existence in my own unique way. And there may be 2 fundamental questions if I became conscious of being conscious but didn't understand as to why, that I would want to answer anyway. If I was God and I could create everything with the will of my consciousness, and I knew I was everything in everything, I would know everything, other than perhaps where I was from and why I was here. So if I was God and I knew everything and could do and be and create anything, what I might do is split myself into infinite different versions across infinite different realms to experience infinite number of experiences, different outcomes, different situations, different interactions, different emotions, simply for the experience of it. So whatever you're experiencing at present, that is your life's purpose. Watching this video is your purpose at the moment, and then whatever you do afterwards is your purpose. Even when we're washing up, doing mediocre and meaningless jobs that we would rather not do, that is our purpose in that moment too. And when we embrace everything that we do in life, enjoying it in the present moment, the gift of now, nothing else matters, as now is the only time that ever really exists. And when we are present in the moment, which is why it is called the present, because it is a gift, everything is perfect just as it is. It is only our desire to change the past that causes us depression and a want to experience things different to as they are. And it is only a projection to a future potential event and a want to control it to prevent further traumas being experienced that perhaps are relevant to past similar experiences that cause us to experience anxiety, because again we have no control over that future potential reality. But again, in truth, what we focus upon is the journey we then start to take. Focus on what we don't want, and we're actually vibrating in accordance to that and calling that into our reality. So if I was God and I knew everything other than where I was from and why I was here, I would split myself into infinite different versions to have infinite different experiences. Each one of those fragments of self, eventually, potentially, rediscovering the truth of who they are, the universe, God embodied. The entire universe experiencing itself in individual form. With each of these elements, these parts, remembering the truth of who they are, who we are, who I am, the eternal and infinite cosmic consciousness of I, that is, not the individual egoic I. By remembering who I am and returning that information back to Source, back to God, once every single element, once all of those sects or fragments bring the truth that love is the answer and who we are at our core back into completion, along with the memory and realization of who we are and why we are here, once all of that information is returned to God, to Source, perhaps God will be able to correlate that information to discover the answer that thy seeks. She, he, we, they, them, it. Whatever label and word we would like to put upon God once again. So perhaps the reason for existence, the reason for any of it, despite it just being for the experience of experiencing, is to rediscover, to remember the truth of who we are and why we are here. So we can return that to God, and God can remember, can realize, and can embody in the truth of why it exists and why it is here. Humanity, we are one people upon this one planet, and one government is all we require. Individually governing ourselves, self-governed, with love as the frequency that holds us together, love as the frequency and foundation that all is built from, love being the air that we breathe, the glue that binds us. And I'd like to invite you to take a breath with me now, a deep and conscious breath in, holding it for a moment or two, and realizing that that breath that you have just accepted into you, that fills you and animates you, that without the breath there would be no life to experience at all. The life starts and ends with the breath. As you release it, surrendering back to the universe that which no longer serves you. I would like you to embody the truth that the breath is what allows us to experience it at all. And it is one of the most powerful tools we have in finding that calm at the center of life's storm. And that when we exist in that free flow state of being, when we go where the wind blows, or when we live in alignment to who we are, it is as though we are the center of the storm. Chaos is all around us. The calm we seek is only ever found within, and it comes through a reconnection to and full acceptance of who we are, love embodied in perfection. So if you were to view a storm that is always around, the center of the storm is the eye, where the calm is found, just as calm is found in the center of who we are. When we go with the wind as it blows, that center always remains above us because we are moving accordingly with the winds. If we try to deny where we are being guided, then it's as though we have stopped, and then the storm that keeps moving actually passes over us, and we experience the storm that would otherwise have previously been around us but not experienced by us. It is only when we step out of our authenticity and our unique vibration that we experience suffering in any way, shape or form. So, again, we unify religion through science by embodying the truth that everything is consciously created, and that God is in everything, consciously creating everything. Therefore, each one of us is an element or fragment of that same creator. Therefore, when we come together to consciously co-create that future vision of the world that we all hold within our minds and our hearts, that world of true harmony and prosperity for all, when we each shine our light of attention upon that and move towards it accordingly, that is what we will experience, because we are the creators of our own reality. If you've enjoyed this video, please drop a comment. Let me know how you've received it and what you thought of it and where you are in the world. Let me know how your journey has been experienced and enjoyed recently, and share this video with somebody that you may feel will benefit from it in any way. Be sure to subscribe, follow and all that good stuff. And if you have any questions, drop it in the comments or send me a message, and I'll be happy to answer in due time, divine time. Until then, remember that without you, there is nothing to experience at all. Therefore, you are the most important being that has or ever shall exist. Because if you take away you, nobody else exists for you to experience at all. So only by putting yourself first do we have an understanding or the capability to put another in that same place. And it all starts with self-acceptance, leading to self-love and grace. Have the most amazing rest of the day. Until we connect again, my name is Kaine. Namaste.